What if the Bible isn't just a book, but a heartbeat? A story so alive it wraps around your soul, whispering answers to questions you've carried forever. Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going? It's not just words on ancient pages. It's God's love letter to you, written across thousands of years, through triumph and tragedy, pointing to a hope that never fades. I've felt its pull in my own moments of doubt, when life felt heavy and directionless. The Bible met me there, offering a story bigger than my pain, a story I want to share with you today. Picture it as a grand tapestry, woven by over 40 voices across centuries, each thread telling of God's relentless love, His justice, and His plan to make all things new. From the first light of creation to a radiant city where every tear is wiped away, this is His story, and it's yours too. Let's step into it together with open hearts and see where it takes us. Creation, a world born from love. Imagine a moment before time began nothing but silence and God's presence. Then He speaks, "Let there be light," Genesis 1-3. Suddenly, the universe explodes into being. Stars blaze, oceans roar, mountains rise. I've watched sunsets that stole my breath, feeling like they were painted just for me. That's the God who crafted it all, pouring His heart into every detail. Trees stretch toward the sky, birds dance in the air, and life bursts forth in endless beauty. Then comes the pinnacle, humanity. God forms Adam from dust, breathes life into him, and creates Eve, his partner. Genesis 1:26-27. They walk with God in Eden, a paradise of crystal rivers and vibrant fruit, where the tree of life glows with promise. Can you imagine their joy, living in perfect harmony with their Creator? It's a love story, God crafting us to know Him, to reflect His glory. The Book of Jubilees calls this a sacred rhythm, or even angels marveled at creation's beauty. But this isn't just a story of beginnings. It is a reminder that you are no accident. You're made with purpose, loved beyond measure. Have you ever felt that spark, that longing for something eternal? That's God calling you home. The fall, a choice that broke the world. But paradise doesn't last. A serpent slithers into Eden, whispering lies. Did God really say? Genesis 3:1. Doubt creeps into Eve's heart. The forbidden fruit, gleaming with false promises, tempts her. She eats, Adam follows, and in an instant, everything shatters. Shame floods in, they hide, stitching fig leaves to cover their nakedness. Genesis 3-7. I know that feeling, don't you? That ache when you've messed up, wanting to hide from the world. God's voice calls, "Where are you?" Genesis 3-9. It's not anger, it's a father's heartbreak, searching for his children. Sin breaks their bond, bringing pain and death. Yet even here, God's love shines. He promises a Savior who will crush the serpent's head. Genesis 3:15. A spark of hope in the darkness. The apocalypse of Moses captures their grief, Eve weeping over what's lost. I've clung to that hope when life feels broken, knowing God hasn't given up on us. He's already writing the story of our rescue. The flood, mercy through the storm. As humanity drifts further from God, the world drowns in violence. God's heart aches. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become. Genesis 6-5. But Noah, a man of faith, stands out. God calls him to build an ark, a sanctuary to preserve life. I picture Noah hammering away under a mocking sun, trusting God's warning of a flood. The book of Enoch paints a vivid scene of a corrupt world. Yet God chooses mercy, sparing Noah's family. When the rains come, the earth is swallowed, a sobering reset. But the ark floats, carrying hope through the storm. I've felt like I'm drowning in life's chaos, yet God always sends an ark, a friend, a prayer, a moment of peace. The flood ends with a rainbow, God's promise never to destroy the earth again. Genesis 9:13. It's a sign of his mercy enduring forever. What's your rainbow? That glimpse of hope in your darkest moments. Babel, pride's costly lesson. After the flood, humanity unites to build a tower to the heavens, declaring, "Let us make a name for ourselves." Genesis 11:4. It's pride in action, like our own chase for likes or status. I've been there, craving recognition, only to feel empty. God scatters them, confusing their languages, not to punish, but to redirect. The Book of Jubilees calls this a divine reset, creating the diversity of nations we see today. Pentecost later reverses this, uniting people through the gospel. Acts 2. Ever chased a dream that left you lost, only to find God guiding you back? Abraham, faith in the impossible. God calls Abraham, an ordinary man, to an extraordinary promise. I will make you into a great nation. Genesis 12:2. Old and childless, Abraham steps out in faith, leaving everything familiar. I've taken those leaps, trusting God when the path's unclear. Years pass, doubts linger, but God delivers Isaac, a miracle child. The book of Jasher paints Abraham's faith defying a world of idols. His ultimate test comes when God asks him to sacrifice Isaac, Genesis 22. Heart-pounding, Abraham obeys, and God provides a ram instead, a shadow of Jesus, the ultimate sacrifice. What impossible promise are you holding on to, trusting God to fulfill? Joseph, from betrayal to redemption. Joseph's life is a roller coaster of dreams and deliverance. Favored by his father, hated by his brothers, he's sold into slavery, his colorful coat stained with blood. Genesis 37. I've felt that sting of betrayal, wondering if God's forgotten me. In Egypt, Joseph rises from prisoner to ruler, saving nations from famine. When his brothers bow before him, he weeps, forgiving them. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. Genesis 50:20. His story shouts hope God turns pain into purpose. What pit are you in, and can you trust he's weaving your story into his? Exodus, the cry for freedom. Israel's enslaved in Egypt, their cries rising under Pharaoh's whip. Enter Moses, a baby saved from the Nile, raised in a palace, then fleeing to the desert. A burning bush changes everything. I've heard my people's cries, God says, Exodus 3-7. Moses, unsure and stammering, becomes God's voice. Plagues strike Egypt, the Passover lamb spares Israel, and the Red Sea parts, Exodus 12-14. I've felt trapped, like the seas closing in, but God always makes a way. At Sinai, he gives the 10 Commandments, a guide for living free. The ascension of Moses hints at cosmic battles behind these events, but the heart is clear. God fights for his people. Where do you need his freedom today? The wilderness. Faith in the desert freedom's just the start. In the wilderness, Israel grumbles, doubts, and worships a golden calf. Exodus 32. I've wandered too, questioning God in barren times. God provides manna from heaven, water from a rock, a tabernacle where his presence dwells. Exodus 16:17-25. The book of Enoch suggests angels guarded this sacred space, a reminder God's with us even in failure. The wilderness teaches trust. God's faithful when we're not. What desert are you walking through, and can you see his provision? The promised land, stepping into promise. At the Jordan River, under Joshua's lead, the waters part, and Jericho's walls fall with a shout. Joshua 3:6. It's God's power, not theirs. I've faced my own Jericho's impossible obstacles, only to see God move when I trust him. The land's divided among the tribes, a promise fulfilled. Joshua 13-21. But disobedience lingers, sowing trouble. The book of Jubilees calls the land a sacred trust. It's a reminder, blessings come with responsibility. What promises are you stepping into, and are you walking in obedience? Judges, a cycle of mercy. Without a king, Israel spirals. They sin, face oppression, cry out, and God sends judges heroes like Deborah, Gideon, Samson. Judges 4-16. Deborah's courage, Gideon's 300 men, Samson's final prayer. They show God uses flawed people. I've faltered like them, yet his mercy lifts me up. The refrain, Israel had no king, Judges 21:25, echoes our chaos without God's rule. Where do you need his deliverance? The kingdom, glory and decline. Israel demands a king, and God gives Saul, then David, a man after his heart. 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel. Solomon builds a glorious temple, but his heart strays. 1 Kings. The kingdom splits, idolatry creeps in, and prophets like Elijah call Israel back. 1 Kings 17-19. I've built my own temples, only to see them crumble without God. The prophets remind us, his love pursues us. What's pulling you from him? Exile and return, hope restored. Sin leads to exile. Babylon's chains replace Jerusalem's glory. 2 Kings 25. Yet prophets like Jeremiah promise restoration. Jeremiah 29-11. After 70 years, God brings his people home. Ezra, Nehemiah. I've felt exiled, far from God's promises, but he restores. The book of Tobit echoes this hope, showing God's care in our wanderings. Where do you need his restoration? Jesus, love's ultimate act. Then comes Jesus, the promised Savior. Born in a stable, he heals, teaches, and loves the broken. Luke 2, Matthew 5-7. I've felt his touch in my brokenness, haven't you? On the cross, he takes our sin. At the empty tomb, he defeats death. John 19-20. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene portrays Mary as the first to proclaim his resurrection, a testament to God's radical love. Jesus is the story's climax, bridging heaven and earth. Have you met this Savior? The church, a family on mission. Jesus ascends, but his Spirit ignites the church at Pentecost, Acts 2. Peter preaches, Paul plants churches, and women like Mary Magdalene and Priscilla shine, Acts 18, Romans 16. Despite persecution, the gospel spreads. I've seen his Spirit turn fear into boldness in my life. The Acts of Paul and Thecla tell of ordinary people transformed by faith. You're part of this family, called to share his love. Who needs to hear it from you? Revelation, a new beginning. Revelation unveils the end, a new heaven and earth where God will wipe every tear. Revelation 21-4. Jesus returns, evil is defeated, and the new Jerusalem shines. The apocalypse of Peter paints heaven's beauty, urging us to live for eternity. I long for that day when pain ends. This isn't just the Bible's end, it's your future. Are you ready? Your story and his. The Bible isn't just history, it's your story. From Eden to eternity, God's inviting you in. I've found purpose in these pages, and you can too. Share in the comments. What stirred your heart? Creation's beauty? Jesus' love? Hit subscribe, share this with someone needing hope, and let's spread this story together. The Bible's not just a book, it's God's heartbeat, calling you home. Let's live it, one step at a time.